Welcome back to The Truth is Viral. I'm your host, Bob Powell, and I'm about to tell you the story of 380 American patriots, men, women, and children, that were murdered by the Obama administration during a heated battle here in Michigan just last week. Let me take these hot dogs in, and we'll get down to business. Dinner is served. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You play Russian roulette this way.
Deep down in places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear. And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
Yeah, I apologize for the rough edit, but things have been pretty crazy around here, and I didn't get a chance to finish what I was doing last night when I was making dinner. You know, kids can be so demanding. You know, can I go over to my friend's house? Sure, if you can walk. Daddy doesn't have a driver's license. When's dinner, Daddy? When's breakfast, Daddy? What's for lunch, Daddy? If you're a parent, you know what I mean. It's a full-time job in itself, but I'll tell you, it's definitely the best job that I've ever had. Now, so I guess today we'll just do another backyard show because it takes forever to chroma key in the studio, and I just don't have that kind of time. I wanted to get this information out to you while it's still fresh. Okay, now according to the title of the video, 380 American rebels were killed in airstrikes by the Obama regime. I'm going to read that story to you now, as reported by Sorcha Faal. A shocking Federal Security Services report circulating in the Kremlin today states that last week an intense battle erupted in the U.S. state of Michigan between military forces loyal to the Obama regime and American rebels that killed at least 380 men, women, and children who had gathered to oppose their nation's slide towards a totalitarian dictatorship. According to this report, nearly 500 people opposed to the Obama regime had assembled for a clandestine meeting in the Michigan county of Alpena in an effort to form a 50-state alliance of local law enforcement and political officers seeking to turn the tide of their nation's path towards dictatorship, even when, should it be necessary, by armed force. The FSB states in this report that hostilities erupted when American rebel forces gathered at this meeting, identified several undercover FBI informants who were seeking to escalate tensions, and arrest them, whereupon, within minutes, a contingent of heavily armed Obama regime federal police forces attempted to, in turn, arrest these rebel leaders. After a prolonged skirmish between these rebel forces and the Obama federal police, the report continues, the U.S. military launched a series of airstrikes, the largest being a 2,000-pound laser-guided bomb that hit in the middle of those gathered at this meeting, killing over 3/4 of them instantly. To how powerful this blast was, this is my favorite part. We can read as reported by a local Michigan reporter named Bob Powell, who wrote, "At 10 a.m. on Wednesday, 6/6/2012, a mysterious explosion shook homes over hundreds of square miles in northeastern Michigan. The ground-shaking explosion was heard from Presque to Lincoln and as far out west as Hillman and Lachine." Important to note that this reporter was swiftly detained and arrested by Obama forces when he attempted to gather more information. Okay, I'm gonna stop with that now. I hope you realize that that was complete and unadulterated BS. Oh, except for my part, of course. There was no attack here in Alpena, Michigan. There was nobody killed. This is one reason that I know that I'm on to something, because Sorcha Faal, his website was hacked a while back, and it was found to originate in Langley, Virginia. That's the home of a number of alphabet agencies, most notably the CIA. Now, Sorcha Faal is really a CIA operative by the name of David Booth, and anything that he writes is highly suspect. This is the essence of disinformation. They take a real event, a legitimate news story, and incorporate it into a story that is so fantastic, so unbelievably incredibly wild and out of this world that it sheds doubt on what really happened. No one in their right mind should believe anything written by Sorcha Faal. Now remember, if it's a story that's circulating inside the Kremlin, or a special report prepared for President Putin, or if it appears on whatdoesitmean.com, it's BS. It's CIA disinformation. It's a big steaming load of crap. And speaking of excrement, you know, Alex Jones cracked me up last Friday night when he said this on his InfoWars Nightly News.
See, Obama is like a turd.
Alex, my brother, truer words were never spoken. Now, as far as what has been going on here in Michigan, this is what I can prove so far. There was a huge explosion that rocked hundreds of square miles of northeast Michigan last Wednesday. Now, not only have scores of people posted their experiences on Facebook, but Terry Kins, the undersheriff of Alpena County, gave me his own account face-to-face, not standing 2 feet away from me, just right there. Now, the undersheriff said that local law enforcement is at a loss to explain the origin of this explosion. Deputies were dispatched to investigate, but no source was found. Now, I have spoken to every single city, state, and federal government agency that might have any possible purview over this issue, from NOAA and the U.S. Geological Survey to the state police, and they have all told me that they have no idea what could have caused this blast. Now, the local news media has not said a single word about this explosion. Zip. Not a zip. Nothing. Now, one would think that an unexplained blast that rocked hundreds of square miles might be a subject of interest for reporters in a town where the biggest events to happen all year long are the Brown Trout Festival and the Posen Potato Festival. But there's not been a peep from any one of them. Here's another thing I can prove. My witnesses are being threatened. In this segment, I've got yet another witness to this explosion up here in Alpena. Only this time, her identity is going to be concealed from the get-go, because the last witness was the recipient of, how should we say it, threats, to put it nicely. So, last Wednesday, on the 6th of June, there was a large explosion that was heard and felt here in Alpena. It was just a sharp boom. No earthquakes were reported by the USGS. NOAA said that there were no other natural explanations like sinkholes or anything like that. And the Sheriff's Department sent deputies out to investigate. They couldn't find anything. The undersheriff himself, Terry Kins, told me that he was in the building when he felt it shake. And I went out to the Alpena Combat Readiness Training Center, and we all know how that turned out. So basically, something happened. What it is, I don't know. But this young lady's here to tell us what she knows. Now, here's a little bit of a twist. She didn't actually hear the explosion or feel it herself, because the place where she works has, you know, loud machinery and all this. But can you tell me when the first time it was that you heard about this explosion?
I heard about that evening after I got home from work. My boyfriend had me talking about with his friends. Where he was maybe 4 or 5 miles from the airbase, and the ground shook. His pant legs shook. It echoed in his building. He's in a large, like warehouse type building. I've heard other people talking about it at work. I've heard other people standing in line at the gas station talking about it.
Yeah, so you're a waitress, right?
You can say that.
You hear things.
You can say that, yes, yeah. You do. People talk, people ask.
And what were you hearing at the restaurant?
Everybody's talking about it. People out in Lincoln, Mankato, Rogers City, all over surrounding the area of the airbase. It's like a big circle of, if you put X's everywhere, the center of it is the Alpena Air Base, the Combat Readiness Training Center.
Yeah. And then later you got a phone call from somebody in Texas, didn't you?
I got a phone call from my best friend in Texas, who originally lived here but hasn't lived here in, I would say, 13 or 14 years, asking me what exploded up here. And I said, what are you talking about? Because I didn't really think anything into it. I didn't hear it, see it, nothing. And she says, yeah, what's going on up there? So then when I investigated it, got on Seen You, what happened to you, and have my own inquiries. And obviously, the way you were treated, there is something major that they are trying desperately to cover up.
Well, there's no doubt about that, because there's not been a peep in the local newspaper, television, or radio. Not a single word. And tens of thousands of people felt this. Okay, so I'm counting on you guys to spread the word on this. Post this video in every forum that you frequent. Put it on Reddit, put it on Twitter, put it on your Facebook. Okay, something happened up here and we've got to get down to the bottom of it. Now, this isn't the movies. Okay, I can't tear open my thing and Clark Kent all of a sudden becomes Superman. It just doesn't happen like that. Okay, I can't guarantee that I'm going to get down to the bottom of this, but I can guarantee that I'm going to continue to investigate it. And somebody knows something, and somebody's going to talk. And if you know something, then you know how to get a hold of me. Okay, you can find me on Twitter at The Truth Is Viral. You can find me on Facebook / The Truth Is Viral. You can get me on YouTube, Old Core BLT13. There are numerous ways that you can get in touch with me, and if you know something, then I urge you to let me know. This, whatever it is, whatever happened, is serious, and it's so serious that CIA disinformation specialist Sorcha Faal, who people should realize by now that when you read a story that says a report circulating in the Kremlin, it comes from Sorcha Faal. Now, an enterprising young hacker just a couple of years ago traced that IP address back to a server in Langley, Virginia. So, yeah, if the CIA is so worried about this, or some other alphabet agency is so worried about this, that they're purposely inserting it in this obvious, blatant fantasy written by Sorcha Faal in order to discredit my legitimate news story, then there is something to this. What it is, I can't say. I wish I could. But if I do find out what caused it, I can guarantee you that I will get the word out somehow. And I guess that's all we have for this segment. Thank you for coming on The Truth Is Viral.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.